Good Friday afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Lauren Lemanchek. Well, it is finally here. Today, the Twins face the Tampa Bay Rays for their home opener. Events have been happening all day at Target Field, and the fun keeps going through the first pitch this afternoon. Now, if you're heading to Target Field, bundle up. This home opener is going to be chilly. Some parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin are under an ice storm warning. We will check in with our weather team in just a little bit for the full forecast. In news developing right now, a search and rescue mission is underway in Iran after a two-seater American F-15 fighter jet was shot down over the country. U.S. officials say one of the pilots has been rescued by the U.S. military and is alive. Iran's media published these photos alongside claims from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard that it had shot down the aircraft. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt said the president has been briefed on the situation. Faith leaders were back at the Whipple Federal Building this week as part of their push for religious care for ICE detainees. The group says they were previously denied access to meet with people being held there until a federal judge stepped in. Sammy Solina spoke with those faith leaders and explains where things stand right now.
On a cold, holy Thursday,
it's a heavy place.
Faith leaders hope to give warmth.
For weakness and transgression, forgive us, Lord.
At the Federal Whipple Building, clergy members prepare to go inside to offer prayer to detainees.
Jesus was in many ways incarcerated by the state, and so in that same kind of a way, we know that detainees are being harmed in different ways.
But they couldn't always visit those held inside Whipple.
So there's been this lawsuit of us saying this is part of the rights of faith leaders and also constitutional rights of those who are detained, that people should be able to have pastoral care.
Documented in the lawsuit against the federal government is Pastor Melissa Gonzalez's story of when she tried to enter Whipple. It reads, despite her religious calling and experience, Reverend Gonzalez was denied access to detainees at Whipple.
It breaks my heart personally.
A judge has since ordered the federal government to allow them to give pastoral care to detainees.
Last week, Reverend Kelly and I were able to visit for the first time with detainees, 5 men in shackles who had been separated from their families and were to be deported. Some of them Minnesota residents, some who'd been living in other parts of the country.
Today, they'll try to find more people.
Hopefully we can offer some warmth.
But as they re-entered into the cold, they brought back unexpected news.
We were told that there is no one being detained at the moment, so we were not allowed to visit anyone who is detained. I would love it if there were not innocent people detained here, and so maybe there's really not somebody here right now, but there are people all across our state, across our country, across this world who are unjustly detained and incarcerated.
She says as long as there is, she'll continue to look for those who need warmth.
This morning, another shakeup at Hennepin County Medical Center. The interim CEO, Dr. J. Kevin Croston, says he is resigning effective immediately. This comes just a few months after he was appointed to co-lead HCMC. Croston cites concerns of micromanagement and the overruling of certain decisions. HCMC is projecting up to $50 million in operating losses this year alone. The hospital's leaders have been pleading for help from the state, but if a solution isn't reached, they say HCMC could be forced to close its doors as soon as this summer.
There are things that it could do before that scenario or short of that scenario of saying these are services we're no longer going to provide, but we're going to continue to operate the emergency department. We're going to continue to operate inpatient care units.
If it does get to that worst case scenario, Anderson says the ripple effects of HCMC's closure could impact healthcare as we know it in Minnesota. Right now, MPD is still searching for the man they say stole a car with a 3-month-old baby inside. It happened in a daycare parking lot on Plymouth Avenue North Tuesday night. Police found the child safe in the car about an hour later, but the suspect got away. Chief Brian O'Hara says he believes this was a crime of opportunity.
All indications are this was not anything premeditated. This was an opportunity that presented itself because a person saw a car idling with the engine on and just took advantage of that opportunity.
O'Hara says 40% of all stolen cars in Minneapolis this year were taken with the keys in them and the ignition on. The BCA has released more than 4,400 pages of evidence in the fatal shooting of 3 Burnsville first responders back in 2024. Shannon Gooden shot and killed police officers Matthew Ruge and Paul Elmstrand and firefighter paramedic Adam Finseth after an hours-long standoff. I dug in more to the newly released evidence. In the aftermath of the fatal shooting of 3 Burnsville first responders, documents show investigators left no stone unturned. Lists of weapons and evidence found in the home, and key interviews with witnesses, including the 7 children who were in the house as Shannon Gooden opened fire. Some of them in the room when he shot himself in the head. Documents show he asked one of the kids to, quote, come with him before taking his own life. Also included in the investigative file, text messages sent in the immediate aftermath from Ashley Deardahl to Gooden's ex, the mother of some of the kids. Deardahl has since been convicted of buying the guns for Gooden, who was not legally allowed to possess them. And that was on her mind, telling the other woman, quote, I'm effed, huh? And texting, I'm thinking he's father of the year, best thing that ever happened to me, giving me and my kids a nice life. I was trying to help the man helping me. The file includes receipts from those gun purchases and transfers, all made in Deardahl's name, and interviews with employees from the gun store who remembered her picking up the weapons purchased online. Once, Gooden, who was a regular at the shooting range, was with her when she bought a gun. And the documents include the first-hand account of officers on the scene, like Sergeant Adam Medlicott, who was shot twice but still tried to help the others. He writes, he realized I had the capacity to remain in the fight and needed to do just that to save the lives of officers, children, and neighbors, adding, I had never felt fear like that in my life. I had such a strong urge to run, along with thoughts of my children and wanting to live for them. Minneapolis wants to honor fallen officer Jamal Mitchell by renaming a stretch of Blaisdell Avenue after him. Mayor Fry and Chief O'Hara are proposing renaming Blaisdell between Franklin Avenue West and 22nd Street West to Officer Jamal Mitchell Way. Mitchell was killed in the line of duty while responding to a shooting in that area. The Minneapolis Planning Commission is holding a public hearing on the renaming next week. The crew of Artemis II has had to deal with some technical glitches, but their mission around the moon and back is on schedule. NBC's Tom Costello reports now from Kennedy Space Center.
So this is now mission day 3 for the Orion crew. A reminder, they have named their Orion ship. They've named it Integrity. They went into what they call the translunar injection burn Thursday night. That is a fancy way of saying they lit the rocket and they're on their way to the moon at more than 24,000 miles per hour, Mach 33, but who's counting when you're moving that fast? They say that they've been a little distracted because they were looking out the windows at the Earth, and it was so captivating and beautiful at a very high Earth orbit that they kind of smeared up the windows with their fingerprints, and with fogging up the windows, they had to ask for some guidance from Mission Control. How do you clean the window here and do it according to the NASA specs? They also, thankfully, have dealt with and fixed the toilet issue, right? They had a malfunctioning brand new toilet on this Orion spaceship that nobody has been in before. No humans have traveled in before. So this is, in fact, a test flight. Just like a brand new car, you're trying to feel it out and you're trying to make sure you understand what is and isn't working, and maybe there's some issue that you need to resolve. All of that to say that on this mission day, they're going to spend it by doing some medical testing. They're also going to be talking and training on how to do CPR in space in the event that there were a medical emergency for any crew in the future. Talking about working through all the procedures as well for flying by the moon. We expect that that will happen on Monday. They're already working on how to document it, how to photograph it, and what the procedures will be. And we don't yet know what the wake-up music will be as they now head into Mission Day 3 from space, but they are well on their way on this 10-day mission, round trip, sending them farther than any humans have ever traveled from Earth. Back to you.
Simply incredible. Stick with us. More news and weather is coming up after the break.